Welcome to Connected Conversations. I'm really grateful that you're here and sharing your time. If you like the conversation that you hear, please like it and share. I'm Emma from Unique Phoenix. I'm a soul coach, energy healer, well-being guide, and an unapologetic, curious soul. Connected Conversations is here to bring love, healing, and connection to our everyday lives through open and authentic conversations. Every single conversation, I'm privileged to interview women and men in our communities that are here being their authentic selves, sharing their unique talents with the world around them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we can get to know them and what they offer much better.
Hi, I'm OptiMystic Xzavia. I'm an intuitive coach, psychic medium, and spiritual mentor. So I have lots of tools in my kit. I can help in many different ways, but the main reason I'm here on this planet at this time in my life and in yours is to help as many people as I can learn to love life and themselves again or for the first time. So I help teach you to be your authentic self and how to really use the universe and your own skills to make life work for you the way you want it to work, rather than relying on other people to give you the answers, because everything's within you. That's what I'm here for.
Welcome to Connected Conversations. Thank you so much for being here. These are here to bring healing, love, and connection to your everyday lives and our everyday lives through open and authentic conversations. I am sharing my beautiful time today, and sharing her with you is Xzavia Hargreaves. And she is an intuitive coach, a spiritual mentor, and a psychic medium whose purpose is to help people get on track with their lives. Even if they don't know they're off track, and get back on track, raise their vibration, and to follow their path. I'm so incredibly honored to share the work that you do, having experienced it myself, and the gifts that you have that you really powerfully embody in every aspect of your life. And that clearly comes through in who you are. And every time we've spoken and hung out and work, and it absolutely shines through. So thank you so much for being here on my podcast and for sharing your beautiful time and energy with us today.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That's nice to hear. My head's just exploding and I'm just slowly floating away now from that beautiful description.
Well, but it's so true. And I think the more that we see women that are embodying, or anyone, men or women that are embodying their feminine or masculine,
Mhm.
really sitting into it powerfully. I mean, for me, that's got to be honored. Like we've got to speak that out. We have to honor that and congratulate and celebrate that someone's managed to come home to themselves
Yeah, exactly.
to be able to live like that.
Yeah, I've
So,
been getting that as a compliment more and more lately, and so I hadn't realized myself that I was being so authentic and real and trusting my intuition. I know I've always trusted it so much. So getting that as a compliment more often has made me realize, okay, because you don't always see things when you're in it. So it's really nice to hear. Thank you for the confirmation.
you're welcome. Yeah, and look, and it comes from a place that, I get that too more and more now, like people honoring how authentic and open and
Yes.
honest I am at times, perhaps uncomfortably for them, but that's okay. Not uncomfortable for me. So I really want to go back in time with you a little bit. Not that we'll get to that back in time, but we're back
I
in
was about to
time
say,
and this
what time?
lifetime now, just to be clear. And for people listening and watching, you be like, huh? We'll get to it. I promise. It's pretty
Gonna hurt your
extensive.
brain today.
Yeah, we'll just mess with you a little bit for now. So, but let's have a look at like this lifetime for you and
Mhm.
the history of your gifts, because I don't know this, and I am incredibly curious about, have they always been there? How have you, like, I want to hear about that, because your gifts are pretty amazing. And so, how have you developed them?
Oh wow. Okay. So Usually when you meet, like you hear about psychic mediums and their gifts and everything, they say things like the title natural born psychic, and they've been seeing stuff since they were young and on all that stuff. Everyone is a natural born psychic.
You know, baby.
I just want to, put that out there. And there's much love to anyone who uses that as their description. I don't, because depending on your lessons in your life and where you come from, depends on when you might discover your gifts. And I don't even refer to them as gifts. Like, that's just our natural state of being. The thing is, we've learnt how to not do them and and not use them in our life. So I kind of like to reflect on that's just how we all are, and it's up to your lessons and your reason that you're here as to whether you're supposed to tap into them and use them for work or just your own intuition and get through your life. So when I was learning, after I had my 3 children, is when I sort of got into the psychic world. I'd always been interested. I'd always had readings at those fairs, like the 5-minute ones, and I was given an oracle card deck as a teenager by a lady who I thought was a bit weird and woo-woo, and now I'm her. And I do that to people.
Kind of stories, yep.
Yeah.
I'm the weird one now.
I'm the weird lady now. That's a bit quirky and cool. Well, hopefully cool. That I thought she was. And yeah, so I used to play with this crystal, and she told me to put a quartz in my water and drink it for cleansing my energy. And I still do that. And I still recommend that. I used to play with the oracle cards, but back then I'd like deal them 100 times until I got an answer that made sense to me because I didn't know how to use my intuition, or I didn't know how to trust it. I wouldn't, go with the first thing that came. I'll just read the book and not try to tune in. And anyway, so when I started learning and actually did a psychic course to increase my development, some of the things I was learning, I realized I had been doing all my life. I just thought they were normal things. When you just, the way you think, you just assume other people think like that. Or I don't know, it's like some people as a teenager, people would come to me for advice. I used to get asked about sex from older teenagers when I was like 12, virgin, not knowing anything. They used to just come to me and ask me things. And then I realized that's claircognizance, because I used to just know the answer. The kind of person that would always find the right words to write in a card, or those kind of things. I'd done things younger, like writing letters to people to get things off my chest and then tear it up or burn it. And then funnily enough, they were a different person when they were speaking to me the next time. So that's something I learned about, like automatic writing and letters of intention and clearing things and the power behind them. So when I started learning to do that stuff with actual intention, it really, really changed the outcome. And I realized how powerful I am and how I can help others learn how powerful they are.
I love that. There's a couple
of
things to go back to. Is that okay?
Yeah.
You're right. I totally agree with you. And for anyone, who's new to this, we all have intuitive gifts. And like you, I used to have like people talk to me about, and it still happens now. I could stand in a supermarket queue and start to have quite a deep little conversation about something because I've complimented their shoes, or something. And my kids now back away from the scene because they get like,
here we go.
You're talking about this. And I say stuff that I'm thinking, I can't possibly know anything about that. And I did it as a kid. So I get what you're saying there. But I think for people out there listening, you probably have those same moments too. And it's just a level of awareness and trust, as you said. So if humans, I'm going to ask you a question now. If humans are going to evolve, right, to a natural state of being, how do we transition from thinking of them as gifts? Because it's almost like putting someone on a pedestal, isn't it? Like, oh my God.
We're all the same. Like, I don't put anyone above me or below me.
You and I have figured out how to guide people to that.
Yes.
Like we've guided ourselves and we've figured out how to guide other people. So I wonder, how do we then transition? If we're not talking about them as gifts, how might you talk about them? Because if we're going to transition, for me, I kind of think, do we need to make it a bit special? So people go, I actually want that specialness. And then they get there and they're like, oh, you know what? everyone's the same. So that's a transition. But
Yeah, I get that.
if we're not referring to them as gifts, how do we evolve and transition towards that?
I'm just, the whole time I'm just hearing unlearn, like unlearn everything we're being conditioned
I
to.
just swallowed. That's a truth.
My throat just, throat chakra is like, yeah. It's an important one to get out. That's why my throat just cracked. Unlearning. So many things you can look at in on TV, the news, in our school system. Just think the opposite, and it's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it at all.
Well, yeah, just unlearn.
Unlock.
Lots of things to unlearn, I think, and so going within yourself and learning to trust how you feel and what's right for you, like using your body as like a pendulum, or really feeling into what feels right for you. And then that's a skill in itself. Just, gosh, I'm getting goosebumps. Everything's mindfulness, really. Just paying attention to being mindful. To me is constantly thinking about what you're thinking about, which can be exhausting, because you got to keep stopping and then processing and then thinking about how you feel about things. Every time someone says something to you, has an opinion on something, teaches you something, stop and feel if that's right for you, because just because they say it doesn't mean it's true for you. Like,
I'm with you there 100%. I always talk about having like a conversation in my mind, something will go on and I go, I'm going to question you because I'm not so sure that that's correct, actually. So, my kids will often look at me driving in the car and they're like, are you okay, Mum? Because I'll be like,
you're like,
it's just like, what are you doing? I'm having a conversation in my head. I did it this morning and nearly forgot to drop my daughter off at school until she was driving. And she goes, Mum, are you dropping me off? Oh, whoops.
That's how I miss turn-offs, even with the navigator on.
Oh, yes. Or I wonder, how did I miss that? I didn't even know I missed it, to be honest. Yes, I do love that. And you're right. It is about constant becoming aware of what's going on in your mind.
Yeah.
Helps connect you to your body so that you can actually know how you're feeling. Trust and intention. Can you go a little bit more into that? Because I think that's really important to
trust and intention. Biggest lesson. And yeah, I love that. I have been told I've inspired many people because of trusting my intuition. And then doing things with intention is really powerful. So everything you say and think, like people, I often start talking to people and telling them how great they are at manifesting, that they can manifest anything they want. And they're like, but I have bad luck all the time, or, I'm always broke or sick. Things happen to me constantly. But the thing is, we're so good at manifesting, we also manifest what we don't want. So having the intention when you think of anything you want is really important. So because you also, if you're saying what you don't want to happen and what you want to avoid, and you're worrying, you're attracting that too. And I know I've gone off the topic because I'm talking about manifestation.
No, we're on topic. This is good.
The intention. Yes, have the intention. Like, imagine if you really put some extra thought into it, instead of just flippantly saying that you don't want this to happen, I don't want to get sick, or back when colds are colds, and people would, you go up to someone and give them a hug and they go, oh, don't kiss me, I've got a cold. I used to use this example all the time, and now it feels weird even saying it like that. But anyway, I'd go, don't worry, it's fine, I'm healthy and well, and I'd still give them a kiss and a hug, and I never get sick. Super healthy. I'd never catch it. I'd have my ex-husband breathing in my face with man flu, coughing and spluttering all over me, and I'd be like, I'm healthy and well, I'm healthy and well. I have the intention that I'm healthy and well, and I wouldn't catch it. Everyone else in the house would, but I wouldn't. And that's not just because I ate a lot of dirt as a kid, it's probably part of it, but I just have the intention. Yeah, I said the intention that I am, and that I won't attract it. So having intention and a purpose, and really feeling it, not just flippantly saying things. So when we do flippantly say things, we are also attracting it. So imagine if you really focused on it and trusted that it's true and it's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. So then I feel like, if I'm picking up what you're putting down incorrectly, you'll tell me. But I feel like the intention of your words, is that what you're saying? Like, needs
you have to believe
really laser clear as well. Like, really aware of what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be careful how you say things. Like, I wouldn't even say, I am not sick, because the universe and scientifically your body is, for some reason, I don't know the science, I just know the spiritual woo-woo explanation, it doesn't hear not, it will hear. So if you say I'm not sick, it will hear I am sick. So I say I am healthy and well, rather than have the negative words. So it's just tweaking. So even if you're like, I'm pretty good at, like, I'm pretty lucky, everything goes pretty well, things just happen for me, you can tweak it by making sure there's no like negative word in the sentence and intention, and to put that spin to make it a bit more powerful. Hot tip.
And I always use the example of telling a child not to spill their drink. And I said, because what you're actually telling them is to spill their drink.
Oh, do you know, that's my favorite example to give. You know, when a parent's watching their kid like balance on a log and they're like, don't, careful, you'll fall. Did you just accidentally attract them to fall because you sent them the energy that they're going to fall? Or are you predicting that they're going to fall because they're walking on the thing? I wonder which one it was.
Yeah, I used to say, and I'd hear it at the park all the time, I used to say to my kids, careful with your feet. So awareness on your feet, like I'd ground them.
Yeah.
And then and watch where you're walking straight.
Awesome.
Yeah. And they would just, people are like, oh, they might fall. And I'm like, they might stay on there.
Exactly. So someone says that, I just send the energy away, like, don't put that on them, please. Like,
I'd be like, and they might stay up. And the minute you say that to someone, they go, oh, they might, and their energy shifts as well. But my favorite was always the cup. You know, people go, don't
like
spill
that.
it, and I'd look at them and go, well, you just told them to spill it.
Yeah, you just.
So I say to my kids, keep the liquid in the cup.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to keep the liquid in the cup.
I like that. That's really super cute. It just reminded me of that saying, you know, but what if I fall? And you say, but what if you fly? Yeah. Instead of like, you know, they might fall, but they might not. Like they might be steady and keep walking. So I like that. That just reminds me.
No, I love that.
Reframing. Yeah.
And look, in
coach to coach, reframing.
But in the world that we live in, I mean, constantly I need to reframe. I got a message from a girlfriend just this morning about something happening out there. The end of it was, something about, I'm not really confident that that's going to happen anyway, you know. And I sent her a little voice message saying, if that's your focus, then please focus on that. That's not my focus.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on change. I'm focusing on whatever it is.
Awesome.
And I got back a message saying, thank you, I needed grounding. And I'm like this, but you're right though. And so how does someone who hasn't begin reframing?
Practice, consistency. Because, oh man, the amount of, this is why I started advertising like with me to help clients. I noticed a pattern. People would come and see me, and then I say we because I'm working with their higher self, teach them a whole bunch of useful tools to help them reframe and change their mindset, change their words, and practice. And then I go away and they do it for a few days or even a week, and they notice some changes, and then they start going backwards and slack off a bit, right? So and then they forget, which is totally normal. Like we all stuff up. Our positive shiny, we're human, things happen, shit happens, and we forget, and we catch ourselves. But now when I catch myself, I switch it quickly and I'll say something else to times 3 to correct it. But yeah, so I started creating like packages so we can keep in a loop to try to help remind, so they might come and see me once a month for a few months or something like that, so we can keep in touch, so I can keep it top of mind until I really get the hang of it, if you need that extra help. But some people are really motivated and they're really like, that's it, I'm totally ready to take charge of my life and I'm going to be really consistent with this. They put reminders in their phone and they make sure they follow lots of shiny people. I describe people like us as shiny. There's lots of shiny people out there, so many. So you can go follow anyone you would see as like a mentor, someone you would like to learn from their example. They're not better than you. They're just someone out who's been there before and changed their lives for the better. And if it's working for them, follow all those pages, look to those people, model what they're doing and how they go about their life and what's working for them, to see if it works for you, and then tweak it. So just consistency, because if you just do it for a few days and then you go, oh, it doesn't work, like it does take work. There's not a magic pill that just fixes everything. That's just spiritual bypassing. I'm just going to send it away or connect to my higher self and then wait for my mystery man to knock on the door because I've manifested and asked for him. You still actually have to go out and do things.
I get, and you know, in saying that, because you're talking about trust and intention as well, you can be doing all those really great things. However, if it's not all aligned, and I see this, if your soul's not aligned,
yes, yeah, if you haven't like balanced all your chakras and you're not in that great place, then yeah, it might throw you out, and you're not really, what are you actually, are you trying to manifest something that's not for the greater good, not actually good for you or the people around you? So because your ego gets in the way, or maybe some negative entities and that kind of stuff that's hanging around you because you're on a lower vibration. So raise your vibration, do look into all that. What kind of things make you happy? Focus on, you know, joy and love, and focus on every time you speak or say anything or think of anything. Did it come from here? Is it helpful? Did you say it to actually help the person, or did you say it from some other place? Because if it's not coming from here, don't talk.
And if you do, you shit, man. Like,
yeah,
go.
Apologize it. Yeah, if you fuck up, apologize for it.
Did the wrong thing,
figure it out.
wrong thing. I don't know. You and I are parents. I have to go back to my kids all the time going, I was triggered.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
This is why I did and said what I did, and it actually has nothing to do with you.
Yes.
Those words hit.
That is so mature. That's emotional maturity. Like, I wish my parents had have been able to do that when we were younger. You know, sometimes they get like, no, I've already said it, I've made the decision, that's what's happening. And even if you, as a teenager, for example, you try to explain to them, yeah, but that doesn't make sense, maybe we could do this and negotiate, they just would get defensive and angry because, no, I've put my foot down, this is what's happening. But we as parents can learn from that. And so, which is great that, yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I'm constantly pulling myself up with my kids and saying, sorry, yeah, I was just being stubborn. Now that I've listened to your reason, that sounds like something we could work around, which is hard to do because your ego gets a bit, I already made a decision, so I've got to stick to it. But you don't have to.
And do you, I don't know about you, but the more I go deeper into myself and the more I come home more deeply, the more fuckery I find in ego. Do you know? And I find that with clients as well. Like, it's sneaky. Once you think you've got something cracked, then something comes up and you're like, well, shit. Like, oh, that is sneaky little ego.
Yes. Well, egos, like, egos are good. They're meant to protect us from doing like dumb things. They keep us safe. But sometimes it's just,
or get you to do dumb things. I don't mind that either, you know. Soul, when that has that connection with your ego, it's like your soul goes, go do it. You know, it's that cheer squad, and your ego's like, okay.
Yes. It's like, I love it. Like, it's just, yeah, just checking, is the ego overtaking a bit too much? And like, you know, it's just, people are scared of getting embarrassed and looking bad. Like, I just don't give a flying fuck what anybody else thinks anymore. That was like a huge part of evolution of life, is just, and I know you're in the same place, so you're feeling,
well, clearly, how am I talking now? Like,
exactly, whatever. We just, yeah, that's the biggest lesson. I was a massive people pleaser. If somebody was upset, if I upset somebody, oh my God, I would be sucking up, doing my best to try to figure out what I did wrong. What do you mean they don't like me? And then I realized not everyone's going to like you. It doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, it's exhausting.
Yeah, I haven't come from a people-pleasing background, but definitely because of past, I was a master manipulator. Not to get my own way, but just to create a world that felt safe for me.
Yeah.
Wasn't safe at all, but you know, and you know, some of the things that you do. So it wasn't really ever about people pleasing, because I'm pretty sure I didn't please a lot of people. However, I understand that. So, all right, when I want to actually understand your career progression, because you didn't start with this at all.
Oh no.
I do know. So where did you start?
In this, like, how did this area get started, or just in
general? Because you started, was it in like massage? Did you used to do?
Yeah, that was more recent. So I've done all the jobs, like all the different kinds. I want to help and heal people. So I learned lots of things. I was in retail. I like customer service. I was a KFC manager. I worked in a lot of those kind of shops. And then I did aged care because I wanted to help, and I loved old people. Visiting nursing homes with my all her buddies, and I was pretending, you know, they'd all think I'm their granddaughter. So I loved just pretending I was, instead of, I understood actually right from then. And that was, I feel like it was in a knowing that instead of arguing with somebody with dementia, trying to correct them and put them in their place, just go with it, because it just confuses them more. And they're not going to remember later, next time you come back, that, hang on, but you said you were my granddaughter or something. Just go with it and help them have some peace. So I used to do that. And so when I learned it, and I was a PCA, I didn't realize I was helping people cross over. That's another thing I was doing. And I was tuning into the beautiful souls that didn't have visitors anymore, because they're really hard to visit, you know, when they're really stuck in their bodies, they can't move them, and people don't want to see them anymore because they don't want to remember a lot of them like that for whatever reason. So I used to sit with them and talk to them and tell them it's okay to go, unless you've got some interesting lessons that means you need to be stuck in this body for a while. That's fine, whatever you need to do, but if you want to go, you can go. And then I come back for my next shift and then be gone. So, you know, I used to do that, and I didn't realize I was actually doing anything. So that kind of stuff came later. And then I wanted to be, ever since I was younger, I wanted to be a massage therapist, but then life got in the way and we decided I just worked. Then we raised our kids. And after I had my kids, I finally did the course because I wanted to heal with my hands. Yeah. And in the course, the teachers, some were sports therapists and some they were all different. They had different modalities, and some are really spiritual but they'd all talk about like how you had to cleanse in between clients. And I'm like, even the sporty ones are saying, you had to cleanse your energy so you didn't pick up any. And I'm like, really? Even they're saying that's interesting. And then someone in the class, she was like a medium, but didn't do it as a job. She just saw dead people around her all the time, and she'd talk about it to us at lunch. And I'm just like, what? That's so cool. I want to be able to do that. That's awesome. She could see them with her actual eyes. I still can't do that. It's in my head, in my third eye, which is okay too. So however you get your messages is how you get them. Yeah, I was just fascinated. And yeah, so learning massage, I qualified, I had some freedom, it was fantastic. And then I went and got this is how it actually started. I went and so talking about the mini readings earlier, I'd had a card still from a mini one I had. Found her card, Lynn Rivero is her name, and I'm in Melbourne, she's no longer in Melbourne. But I booked in for a healing session with her for whatever reason, universe hooked us up. You know how it works. There's no coincidences, there's no such thing. So I booked in with her, and this is my favorite, like, this is very cool. Sitting there, and I picked up I had a treatment, which was really weird, but the best part was after. We were talking, and then I picked up one of her brochures I was reading, and she was copying my session onto a CD for me to take home. And I'm like, oh wow, she teaches like a course called You Are Clairvoyant. This is cool, I would love to do that. And I thought, how am I gonna so back then I used to have to get permission to do things from my husband. And I thought, there's no way.
I love how you like, I can't. You're almost like, I can't believe I did that.
Oh yeah, reflecting. This is in a book. I've got a chapter book coming out soon that I've written a chapter for. I've collaborated with a lot of women, and this is in there. I had to get permission, and so I thought, how he's never going to let me do this course. I think it cost like $450 or something like that back then. I used to have to ask for money to do things, you know. So I thought, how am I going to do this? It'd be really great. I'm like, how cool would it be if I could trade like massages, because I've just qualified. If I could give her massages and then that'd pay for a course. I'm thinking in my head, that'd be amazing. And then she just sat there being the psychic that she said, you know what? I've been meaning to start getting regular massages again because my body really needs it. If you'd like to do that course, maybe we could trade. And I went, what the freak? Did you just read my mind? How did that work? And I didn't understand, like, flabbergasted. And then she also used another example that I had a room in my house that I could use for my massage instead of doing it in the lounge room. It just needs cleaning up. And I'm like, no, I don't. She's like, yes, you do. I can see it. And I'm like, oh, then I realized I did. I'm like, oh, my study. Yeah, okay, I can use it for that instead if I clean everything out. And she said, you need a Ganesha figurine because that helps you clear obstacles. It'll help motivate you to do it. And in my head, again, I'm thinking, the hell am I going to get one of those from? I don't know any of those kind of shops. Like, I don't get it. And then she goes, hang on a second. She walked off, came back. She goes, they told me you need to borrow mine because you're never going to bloody buy one. Again. And I was like, what the hell? And the best part is I do that to my clients all the time now. I make them go, how did you know that? What the hell? So that's so cool. So now I'm like her level, which is awesome.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's how it started. I did a course and started going to a spiritual circle, learnt, and the rest is history. The rest I just channeled, like a lot of modalities I channeled as I'm working. Some things I have certificates in. No one ever asks to see them though, because as long as you're doing the work and you're helping, like it doesn't matter. You can just go learn and channel. And so much of what I've learned and what I know is just from my higher self, I guess, or the universe or whatever the heck it is telling me how to do it.
So right there is that embodiment that you have in the work that you do, in the trust that you have around it, because how many healers are out there, and I've been one of them that needed to have another certificate, needed to have a qualification to qualify yourself as a healer, because I channel too, and I did as a kid. And apparently I was running circles as a 7-year-old, and like, who knew, you know, getting people to talk about their feelings. I must have been 7 or 8.
That's great.
And so, but I lost that, you know, like in life, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then it's only just come back in the last sort of 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, beautiful.
That I actually own, that I channel, and I couldn't have learned that at all. But there's so many healers out there that wouldn't be able to say that. They would want to give all.
I'll get there hopefully eventually.
To qualify, I'm qualified to do this.
Yes,
so,
yes.
You know, when you can sit in, you know, because they are gifts. I know you don't want to call it that.
That's okay.
They are gifts that you have received, you know, and allowed and embodied, and it's really beautiful. So I do want to pause on that, because I think it's really important for people to understand what that sounds like. When you're seeing it, when you're hearing it, for someone to sit confidently in what they do and not have to prove anything. It's what I do,
exactly.
man.
It's what you do.
Be here.
Exactly. And some people, you either need it for yourself to show that you've learned, or your clients might need it, because it depends on where they're at too. If they would like to see that you've qualified in things, to know that you're the real deal. But it's also a reflection of, it's your bedside manner, it's how you promote yourself and show, like, are you professional or not, how much you charge, all that comes down to it. Because if you want to be treated, I do believe this in the spiritual world as well, if you want to be treated as a professional and show that you know what you're doing, it's not just about, it is part of you, like what your website looks like and how easy it is to understand. If you way undercharge, and some people even have it in their head that psychics shouldn't charge anything, which is just hilarious to me, because we invest a lot of time and money to learn to be better, to be faster as well, to be able to help you more in the session. So you know, that all it's just eons of time and money and practice. So yeah, of course, and that's our jobs. That's how we raise our family. So, you know, and you can do it too. So, you know, anyone can do it, but it's how you present. Yeah, and it's word of mouth. So you can have all the showy stuff too, and then be not confident and not good and don't get word of mouth. So it's a really combined, you know, it all comes together.
No, I agree with you, because you're right, and I want to go back to, you said no coincidences. So
no such thing, man. That's a fairy tale.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
My opinion.
So I want to ask though, because there'd be lots of people out there thinking, what do you mean there are no coincidences? And so if I ever say, what a coincidence, I'm being 100% sarcastic.
Yeah, I say coincidence. Yeah.
I'm like, what a coincidence. Like,
yeah,
that's interesting. Not really.
I think I've seen you post that on like Facebook before. That's interesting coincidence.
So how then would you give people a deeper understanding to follow that coincidence? Because, you know, people are out there thinking there's coincidences, right? So you might see someone, you know, someone sees you and you're talking about healing, you're talking about stuff, and they go, oh, I might book that, but then they don't. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
they've heard something that they like, and then they go, oh no, they hold back on it. So how would you help someone follow the coincidences?
Another good example is when like you might be thinking, for example, like, oh, I want to start eating healthier, I'm not sure, or move my body, join some kind of, I need to do some exercise or something, I'm not sure what I want to do. And then, you know, funnily enough, the next person you bump into mentions this different program that they just joined and they can bring a friend for free, and you're like, oh, that's funny. I was just talking about that. Not a coincidence. So how that works is that basically you're putting the message out there accidentally or on purpose, that you need some help with something. And if it's for your greater good, it's like your higher self whispers to their higher self, somebody pops a little idea in their mind to bring it up to you. It's all like Chinese whispers, but with clear messages. That's how the universe works. That's how we get signs. And they're supposed to be subtle, because if they're a big slap in the face, it'd be too easy and you're not friggin' learning anything. You're meant to learn to trust. And if it's so obvious, then how can you not trust? So I love that you're laughing at that. So yeah, it's got to be subtle.
I've got an example of my own personal life recently, and it's hilarious.
Everyone can think it. They'll be like, oh my gosh. So every time, simple things like you're thinking of someone and then they call, not a coincidence. You sent the energy there because you thought of them that made them think of you to call you. That's how it works. Energy is everywhere. Just like we can do healings on Zoom. We don't have to be in the room. It's exactly the same. Some people just prefer to be in person, but
send Reiki all the time.
Reiki. Exactly. I woke someone up in a coma once, but then they're in hospital. I'm sitting at my computer. That sounds like I'm gloating, but it's true.
Well, my dad was in hospital for a knee surgery, and he was meant to be in there for another 2 days, and I wasn't able to send the Reiki on the first night, so he stayed in for another 24 hours, and the next night that I did it, he got out the next day.
Of course, but then you can't prove it, and it doesn't matter. We know it works.
Oh, my dad knew I sent in the Reiki, and he was just like,
Yeah, you tell that to the doctors, are they going to go, it's just a coincidence, we fixed him.
So my example is this, right?
Love it. Go.
I have been saying, okay, so because I've been single for a few years now, and I've dated some interesting people and realized what I was attracting. So, we've done a little bit more work and done a little bit more digging and, got underneath it. And so I thought, okay, I do. I'm actually in a really place where I would like to meet someone, whatever that looks like. And anyway, but I was like, I'm not online dating, right? Like flat out, because I've tried it. I don't last very long on there. To me, it's very soulless. So I have no faith whatsoever. But in the span of a week, and I did go out and meet someone organically, went on a few dates and went, not for me. Lovely man, I do want to say, just not for me. And so then I heard a dating app 3 times. By the time I get to the 3rd time, I was like, fine, universe. Fine. Go on the next day. And I have actually I have met someone that's super interesting, and like just qualities that I thought that was not possible to meet. Wherever it's going is wherever it's going.
And you wouldn't have found them on the other apps or whatever you've used before, because they're on this particular app. So you had to.
I have used this app before, but at the same time that they
maybe it wasn't on there yet. It's like, so the universe has sent you that message that popped in your head.
I haven't even got any of that stuff going in my head. I just thought, well, this is the right time.
Yeah, it's like
obviously be on there. And I was literally on there less than a week before we started.
That's cool.
And so he was like, seriously? You haven't? And I'm like, no, I'm lucky to last 2 weeks on these things. But I just laughed because I thought I would not have done it. But after the 3rd time, I thought, I keep hearing the same thing.
Yeah, and that's good. That's a great reminder for, like, if you're not sure whether to trust, how to trust your intuition, or what's like a message or a sign, as opposed to just a thought that you're having. If it happens a couple of times, 2 or 3 times especially, you should definitely pay attention. It's the same with things in your, like, just say you're at work and you're hating your job and it's not going so well, or you're overworking in life and you're too busy and you're not slowing down, and so little things happen to kind of trip you up, literally. Then, and you still keep ignoring and still keep going, you have an accident and actually break your leg, and then you're actually out on your ass for 6 weeks because you didn't listen. It's not punishment. Well, some people could see it like that, because they're like, well, I didn't listen, so now this has happened, because you need to listen to the signs and pay attention. Like, that if the universe is showing you something, do it, or you will be on your ass to teach you the lesson, to make it more obvious, and then they still don't get it.
Yeah, the answer gets bigger, doesn't it? So when
it just grows.
This change, then the energy around it, and you keep saying it and keep saying, then if you're not choosing to see the coincidences, as most people would call them,
or don't know how to, like, don't understand it, that it is, and
it gets bigger until you know, like something, a break happens or this happens or whatever.
One of my favorite quotes
Mm.
from the universe, actually, I think. I made you uncomfortable so you would move. Love the universe. Something like
Yes.
that.
Because you can't have growth and transformation.
No, so say you're in a job and it's not going that great and you don't really love it, and then you get a new boss comes and they're a bigger twat than you had before, or something goes wrong in the job, or you get less hours or whatever. It's like, instead of looking at it as in my life sucks, work's getting like is getting worse and worse and worse. How about thank you for making me uncomfortable so I'm pushed more to leave because this isn't aligned with what I really should be doing. And like, none of my jobs worked out for me. I would get so bored. I wasn't good at any of them. I got fired from one when I was young from not being able to count the money properly because it's just not my thing. So many things I tried and it just was boring and I couldn't stick to it. And until I started doing something that I was meant to do, and then I just loved it, and then it just kept growing, and then I never wanted to leave. So you'll get there, whatever it is in your life that you're thinking about, whether it's partners or ways of thinking or class. People, yeah, often that's a question that people come to me with the cards and stuff like that. They want to know, should I do this course? Should I do that? It's just trying it out, and then if it's right for you, the doors are open, rather than you having to bang on them and kick them down. If you get little stop signs in the way, turn the other way. We have this mentality sometimes, I think it's quite an American one too, that you just have to keep on persisting and trying and pushing on that one thing. Like I think there's some good stuff in that, like, so you shouldn't give up so easy. But then I also find that you are actually supposed to have an easier time when you're in flow. So when you're going the right way, things just work. But if it's not for you, you keep getting stopped. So maybe we don't have to like try so hard at some things. What do you reckon?
Yeah. The other thing I would like to say in that, and and because you're in coaching as well, is that quite often it might be the right way. However, because you'll get like little, openings, along the way. However, you might be getting in the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. Like, it's your ego saying, oh no, you're not good enough for that whispering in your ear. So that's about checking in within yourself as well, I guess, to see whether it's stopping you because it's the wrong way, or is it your own ego getting in your way? So then you got to figure that out too. So life's not easy sometimes.
Oh no, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Figure it out.
Would you want it to be?
No, because then you wouldn't learn anything, and you have to come back here like 20 billion more times until you get better.
I know. I actually had a client recently that said, I think this is my last lifetime, and I knew, so her team were like, and I was like, well, unless you want to do some hard lessons in this lifetime, I think you might be back, mate. And she's like, oh shit.
Luckily, we don't usually remember all that shit when we come back again, and we're all fresh and rosy, and unless you go dig up and learn about your past lives and all that stuff, you're not going to really remember.
So I want to segue into that actually, because do you have clients that come to you that actually do have little memories of past life? Because my daughter, when she was like 2, 3, used to talk about my other mother.
Yes.
And I'd be like, and so it took me a little while to go, oh my God, she's actually past life here.
Yeah. I've heard of it many times, and I've had one or two that I really remember. That's what got me the passion. Yeah, I learned past lives, and then my passion for it grew, and I saw the value in helping people clear them to help them with their current life and future lives. This is my jam. Like, this is my favorite thing to do. And when I say past lives, that's to make it make more sense, but there's no time. I've done a past life before, but it was actually someone's next life that came up that I needed to help prepare them for, so they can go into it smoothly, because something was going to come up to hinder that. So, there's all sorts of I'm sorry, I'm twisting and crashing into my desk. So one particular story, and I'll long story short it, because it's my favorite story to share. I love it. A little boy. So I was doing a meditation kids class, and the mum had brought her son. He was only like 3 or 4, and he's so switched on. He'd sit there and meditate, and it was adorable. He came to the class, and then she contacted me sometime later, because she was very pregnant and they were washing bottles ready for when the next baby came along, because they knew she couldn't breastfeed for whatever reason. And he was helping, he was up on the step helping wash the bottles, and he goes, "Mum, I remember doing this for my babies before they died." She's like, "Huh? What?" "That's a bit weird. What do you mean?" And then she remembered that I do past lives, and so she's messaged me, "This is odd. I just thought maybe he needs a past life healing or something, because it might affect his relationship with his sister or something. Like, what if he's super overprotective?" Or we're just guessing what it might be, what might happen from that. So I hadn't done one for a child before, because sometimes stuff can come up that's a bit intense or scary or sad or stressful. And depending on the client, I get shown what they're ready to hear, what's okay to share. And so I just share what's necessary. Some of it's irrelevant, doesn't need to all be explained. I don't need to see every bit of the life. I see it like a movie, and I can fast forward, zoom in, rewind, ask questions, go to an important event, things like that. So I did that with him. I asked permission to put my hand on his back while he's playing his iPad. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And so I saw all the life that I didn't explain to him when I was seeing it all, because he's little. And so after it was all done, I explained it to the parents. And when I explained it to the mum, she burst into tears, and it wasn't what we thought. It never is. I can always try to guess. And that's when I really know. That's how I also learned to trust, because I couldn't come up with some of this shit if I tried. Like, yeah. So, so for his, he was a doctor of sorts. He'd had a wife that she had some mental issues, and they had a toddler and twin babies. And he was very adamant he didn't want to go to her to go to an institution. He kind of kept her quiet, because he knew in those days and this time, she'd be in a jacket and she'd be zapped and get a lobotomy, and that's what it was like where he was, where they were. So he didn't say anything about it. He's like, "We can manage this, she'll be fine. I'll help her with the knowledge I have." Anyway, one day he came home from work and she's sitting in the kitchen just staring, and he's like, "Where are the kids?" And she said, just looked out the back window, and he's gone to the river behind their house and they'd all been drowned. So that's pretty traumatic, and you can see why I wouldn't explain that to a 3 or 4 year old child. But when I told the mum, his mum, I cleared it all, healed it. You can't just bring up past lives and tell them about it. You need to heal it. So if anyone's listening has been told about a life, good or bad or ugly, whatever it is, and they haven't had it healed or cleared, please see someone like me or whoever else does it, regression or not, to get it cleared, because it shouldn't come up unless there's something that needs to be cleared, or it wouldn't have been told to you. Anyway, so I cleared all that, did it all. And I also integrate anything good and any great knowledge from that life that would be helpful in this life and future lives into their subconscious to bring into their consciousness whenever they need it. So he would have, hopefully that helped him too. But she said the reason why she cried is because he's scared of the water. A little kid who didn't like baths, he should have to sponge clean him with a face washer ringed out. He didn't want swimming lessons. He's just not, like, he'd wash the bottles, but he wouldn't get in the water. So later that night, she sent me a photo of him pretending to swim on the floor, saying he wants to learn to swim. Wow. And a week or two later, she put a photo of him in a bubble bath on Facebook, saying, "For those of you who know, blah, 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 he's actually in the friggin' bath, thanks to Xzavia for," like, she didn't go into everything that we did, but I just went, oh, how fast was that? Like, we didn't realize what little kid wants to go through their life scared of water. So, and it wasn't what we expected would help. And imagine if he just waited, if he didn't choose her as a mother, and for her to meet me, no coincidences, to clear that at the right time in his life, so he could just go about being a normal kid and enjoying swimming lessons and bubble baths, instead of waiting till he was an adult to clear that. Like, imagine.
I love that, because it is true. I mean, how can kids be born with fears?
Yeah, where would that come from if it didn't make any sense? Like, and it came up at that perfect time, just like a few days after she'd met me. Like, that's another example of no coincidence. Like, it's just how the universe lines everything up. She went to the market on that day because he needed this issue cleared to help before the sister came. It might have cleared some other stuff that we were assuming with the sister as well when she was born. He might have been overprotective, and so there's things you don't know, but that's why you just clear everything that needs it, because when we cross over, you heal and things, but if there's lessons you still need to learn from the other life you just had, they're going to come up again. You choose those lessons. So you choose to learn about it, to whether you're going to have that kind of life where you are open-minded to go see a psychic or go get hypnosis, whatever it is, to clear that stuff. That's part of your lesson. So if you're ready to heal them, the teacher will appear.
Yeah, and you keep getting the same, I often call it Groundhog Day with people when they go, oh, this always happens to me. And I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Wonder why.
Let's take a look at that. Or similar people coming into their lives.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at what's in you, because it's not a coincidence that they've come.
That's right. And this is just a different angle. You can help with this stuff with coaching and other modalities. It just depends on what the person's drawn to. So if you want to see, you can see someone like me to get it cleared in that spiritual psychic way, or you can go get coaching about it and do some work on yourself, or you can get hypnotherapy and past life regression so you can witness it yourself, because you might want to see it yourself for the trust and knowledge that it happened, rather than just a psychic telling you, for example. So it depends on, again, that's what your lessons are, your journey, and what you're supposed to experience, and the person you're drawn to be your guide in that part of your life.
And I love that you're saying it in that way, because it's, for me, and I say to people all the time, you're not in this life alone. So if there's stuff that's showing up for you, wherever you're drawn to, go do it. Invest. I say it to people all the time, invest in yourself.
Yes.
And it's not just financially, it's also time. Like, invest time in yourself to reflect, to get to know what's going on.
Right.
But I love how you've said it, because it's not a sales pitch. It's like, just see whoever you like.
See whoever you want. And people that work from a heart space are not going to get offended. Like, if I know people that, like, they know me and they're not guided to come and see me for treatment, they'll go see you or somebody else. I'm not going to get offended, because they're going to where they're guided and the right person for them. And there's plenty of people out there for all of us to help. You can never have too many healers and helpers and psychics and coaches in the world, because there's someone out there for everyone. It might be the way you talk, your bedside manner, your availability, like anything. So just go where you're guided to see. And sometimes it'll be a lesson. You'll be guided to go see a shonk. If it's a word.
Yes.
But that's a lesson for yourself too. Yeah. And I've done that too. And so you're like, well, does that mean I didn't trust my intuition, or were you just supposed to have a lesson in there to learn about what you don't want and what's good for you and what's not, and how to trust and the signs. And
I love it. You really take life curiously, it's always like, oh, what's that showing me?
Constantly thinking about, well, I guess it's, mindfulness, what I was mentioning before, just constantly thinking about why you're thinking about something a certain way, processing everything, just stepping back a little bit.
I love it. So, I mean, you kind of you've touched on it a little bit, because I feel like it, but I do want to ask a really direct question about it. So what still surprises you about your work?
It's a good
everything. Fucking hell, Emma.
It surprises me. Whew. Actually, nothing surprises me anymore. Like, the weirdest shit comes up and I keep learning all the time, and I'm just like, not surprised. I just get not surprised. Like, that's just normal. Other people will be just, oh my God, that is so weird, or that's magical, or that's like freaking me out. And I'm like, I'm so not surprised. That's just my normal day-to-day life. Like, I'm just so used to the weird, wonderful, wacky. But yeah, I guess in that context, it's just, there's so much more to learn, and you might feel like you know so much. Even the people that are specialists in their field, if they're not admitting that they're still learning, then they're full of shit. Like, all that's really egotistical. There's always something to learn, and just being, and what surprises me, I guess, is that some people just get to a point and they don't want to learn anything else. I just think I'd be really bored if I wasn't learning something.
I mean, that's a really foreign kind of statement to me, because I'm always learning. Sorry. What's going on?
There's people, but like, we forget in our bubble, we're always learning, but there's people out there that they know what they know, and they don't want to be taught anything different. They get stuck in there. This is how it is. And I sometimes forget there's people out there like that. So yeah, when you talk to someone like that, you're sort of like, oh yeah, I forget that not everyone thinks the same way as me. And you've got to like get out of the clouds a bit and be a bit grounded, and remember that we're not all on the same path, and we all have different lessons, and not everyone's in the same place as you. So it's, and we're people too. And I find it, honestly, I find it hard. I don't have that many close friends. I find it hard to have normal conversations sometimes, which is, you know, I got to learn
What's a
to just,
normal conversation?
like, just talking about the weather or politics or something. Like I find it hard because I
Oh
like
no,
to talk
I'm with
about,
you. I'm just like,
yeah, I talk about this stuff, and sometimes I find it hard just to talk about mundane. Like if somebody starts talking about, is it maths, married at first sight, TV, I don't even register. Like I can't even, I don't watch TV. Like so I find it hard to find something to talk about with them because I don't have any interest in that. And so I'm like, oh yeah, like it's just talking about other people or gossiping. I can't. Well, I suppose that's another topic completely we could talk about another time. Boundaries, like that's a boundary for me.
woo! Yeah, that's a good one.
Starts talking
Yes,
and whinging
absolutely.
about something or complaining or bagging somebody, I'm just like, you know, I don't find that helpful in my life to talk about other people behind their back and talk. I don't even think about things like that anymore. So I prefer it if you discuss that with somebody else rather than me. And it sounds really bitchy, but it's a boundary to help keep my vibration clean and people around me. You're only as good as the 5 closest people around you. So I like to keep them really shiny.
I'm with you there, sister. Absolutely.
Sounds so
I must
snobby when
admit,
I
because
say it like
I,
that.
you know, school mum and all that kind of stuff, I have been around groups of women that
Me
when
too.
I started saying, oh, I don't actually find that about them and I quite like
I don't
them.
like
And
you anymore.
I think they're, you know, when they were talking, and I just, so what happened is effectively I was energetically removed from
Same.
people. And so now
Yeah.
it doesn't come up with me.
Yeah.
Will say this though, I'm okay when people are venting from personal experience.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, when they're venting from a place of, I've had the conversation with the person,
Yes.
God, it ended really frustratingly for me because blah, 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 blah. And,
Yeah.
you know, and they're just like, okay, and now I'm good, I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's definitely room for space. But as you said, having, you know, a close knit circle allows you that space to go,
Mm.
blah, 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 blah.
If I'm working and I'm working with them as they're my client and I want to and helping them, then great, let's vent and get it all over system. If it's like productive and, you know, to help them with mentoring or coaching, or spiritual advice. Yeah, but sometimes in that, keeping that in mind, some people, when other people are venting to them, if they're not like ready for it, if you haven't like raised your own vibration, you can release that stuff. Otherwise, you know, you accidentally can take it on too. So it's a bit of a protection thing as well. So you're not taking on their stuff. I don't have to think about it anymore. It's just happens. I filter, I jump and twitch, and when their stuff comes out, I send it off and transmute it for them, which is handy. I don't hold it, but other people do. And so sometimes, yeah. So some people who vent, you might find some other people might pull away from you when you do that because they're not as good at coping with it. They can't handle what you're putting out and it's not for them. So not everyone can handle it.
You
Yeah.
keep raising a point, which is don't take things personally.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone, if you've have you read the Four Agreements?
No, I'm really
It's like
slack
this little
with that
mini
stuff.
book, and it's so good.
Cool.
It's really
Any
simple
book
and
sounds good.
easy to understand. Yeah, and one of the agreements is don't take anything personally.
Mm.
You
That was
just
a lesson for me
oh, it's been
in
a
a long
huge
time.
one for
Yeah.
my little ego is
Yeah.
like that was a huge lesson for my ego. My soul was good, but my
Yes.
ego was like, God damn it, took everything personally.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, nothing really surprises you about your work. I love that. What are the main challenges that people come and see you with? Like why?
Oh, yeah. So most people, the most common ones would be they're just unmotivated and not loving life. So
What do you
there's
mean by unmotivated? Can we
stuck.
clarify that a little bit?
It's people not knowing what their purpose is. So I love helping people with their purpose and discovering their strengths because when you feel like you're contributing to society, you feel like you have a place here. And then they might think that what they do is not contributing. So showing them their strengths and how they actually are is really helpful. As long I combine mine with the spiritual channeling as well. So it's a bit of coaching, mentoring, psychic, all mixed in together. Yeah, so helping them figure out what their strengths are and learning that. So most people come to me, I guess, as a victim, blaming what's happened to them in their life for how their life is turning out. So my job is to, if they're ready for it, otherwise wouldn't come find me, is to turn that look to around to realize that you're responsible and this might piss some people off when I say it, you're responsible for everything that happens to you in your life. You usually attract it. So there's, you know, I can hear I can hear people's brains in advance in the future going, I didn't attract cancer, fuck off. I didn't attract abuse and things like that. I get where you're coming from. The lessons in your life, and it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. What you do with that information, how you know, like when somebody says, oh my God, they make me so angry.
Oh, no, that's you make you angry.
Yeah, you choose to be angry in that moment because, you know, it depends on your mood. And we all know this. We've been on, depending on our mood. Someone could say something and we'll laugh at it. Another day, if we're in a shitty mood, someone says the same thing and we get shitty at it. It's about how we are in that moment, of how we react to it. And we know that's happened. Everyone can relate to that in some way. So it's a little example of, how, well, I can't remember what the question was. Why did we get onto this again?
Just the main challenges that people come, but
challenges. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So just, that's, I think they come to me thinking that they want to know when the perfect partner is going to come along, or if they are doing the right thing, changing careers and things like that. But really, so they come to us thinking me thinking they know what they want, and then we find out there's so much more to it. They really want to learn how to control, like take control of themselves and their lives, and how, like, you know, even just educating people about when you get the cards out and you ask a question, am I going to get own my own home? I help them reframe the question, because what you should really be asking is, how can I make this happen?
Yeah.
How can I attract the perfect home for me? How can I be a homeowner? Step 1, step 2, outcome, rather than predictions, because you manifest and create whatever the heck you want. So learning the skills. So that's the main things people come to me for. Might be something on the surface that they think that's the main thing they want, and we can definitely help with that. But then there's a whole bunch of stuff underneath that's yet to be discovered. And I love all that juicy awesomeness of when they realize all this bigger stuff and their mind starts opening and they realize that they have potential and power and how strong they are. Like, I got goosebumps. It's my favorite thing to do. It's just empower people. Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah. I'm like, but yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
It's not even work, like whatever. Like, it's just, yeah. How can
I
it
don't know about
be
you, but it's
so-
like for me when I work, it's like I've had a drug, like, you know, something I'm like, I've had to actually not do healings too late at night.
I can't sleep.
Like, depending on the healing, particularly if it's a channeled session,
Yes.
and even coaching, I can't do late night ones anymore because I'm amped. Going, oh my God, that was amazing. And if I've had to channel heaps in there and lots of messages come through, just woo.
Selfish. We get paid and we get this massive buzz from it, and it's the best thing ever. And we're like, this is just so cool. We're so lucky to be able to help in this way. It's just the best.
And the work, you know, that you do allows people to create that in their life.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's not like, you know, often people will go, oh, it's a little bit selfish. 100% it is, but I'm allowing people to bring that into their lives as well.
We're allowed to be selfish, you know, because you're meant to put yourself first and not anybody else.
Well, you can't. We're actually born selfish because a baby cannot look after themselves. And we need to get children to adulthood as parents. I don't know about you, but I'm not raising a child, I'm raising an adult. So therefore, I need to, you know, guide them through to adulthood, which, let's face it, is about 24, 25 when brain clicks over. I've got to get them to that point, and so that they can go out into the world and do their own thing. So if they weren't incredibly selfish, and you and I have both got teenagers, so we're in the pocket of that. You know that you have to be, but we beat it, you know, it's beaten out of us. It's treated like it's something terrible and bad. And
parents always putting their kids first and things, but then if you're, you know, all those lines, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Well, you can't teach people to, you know, my children often will know. They'll ask me who's the most important person in your life, and that would be me. That is one, because I can't teach them to look after themselves unless I'm showing them.
You have to practice what you preach. You can't say, do all that stuff. And parents that are unhealthy
Emotionally or physically.
Physically, yeah, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, whatever it is. And then they're putting all this effort into the kid, getting him to go play sport, exercise, eat healthy, but then are they doing that at home themselves? No. So they watch and learn, not do what I do, not what as I say. I don't know, whatever, you can't just say it. You got to actually do it.
Yeah, and you got to have awareness as a parent. For me, anyway, I wasn't eating breakfast for a little while. I just I wasn't particular, and I'm telling my kids to have something in their stomachs like before they go off to school because they quite often won't eat lunch. So
Yeah.
I'm like, right, well, I can't really tell them not.
Well, they let themselves starve though. Like it's like, if they're hungry, I'm sure they would eat.
No, it's laziness. I'm not gonna.
They're too busy playing. Yeah.
It's too busy. Like that. No, I
Yeah.
can sleep longer if I don't have to do that.
Oh, I don't have to get up as early. Yeah, cheeky.
So had to reframe a lot of that.
Well, they'll eat heaps when they get home and then not be hungry for dinner that you just made because they ate like at 5. Yeah, kids love it.
The joys
Love
of
it.
being parents.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So much amazing stuff has come out of this now.
I love it. All the different directions this conversation went. That was fun.
That's why it's a connected conversation because,
Yeah.
we just got to be guided to go wherever it shows up. And you know what? Selfishly, and I absolutely embody that, I am following my own curiosity.
Right.
Because I'm a curious little soul, and I
Good.
ask a lot of questions.
How we learn.
Exactly.
Rather than that saying curiosity killed the cat, because that just teaches us not to be curious and ask questions. Hey.
And look, I've gone to a lot of conferences in my life through work and a lot of, stuff and seen speakers. And I was always impressed when I was younger when people were asking questions. I was like, yeah, I really wanted to know that too. So doing this, I just come into it with that intention that surely if I'm asking this question, someone listening or watching is going to be like, I wonder about this. And then I ask it and they go, cool.
And if she didn't cover any questions that you had, like, comment on the YouTube or send her an email. That way, we can
absolutely answer them next time when Xzavia comes on here, which would be exciting. So I want to get to the final 3 whats. These are final 3 what questions.
Cool.
So, what is well-being to you?
What is well-being to me? Being well. anything that helps you be well, anything that is helps you feel good.
What is it to you though? So then my next what is, what are your must do daily well-being practices?
Oh, okay, awesome. So what I do daily, I always start off my day with an intention of how I want the day to go. I look at my calendar and then I see what's happening, and then I ask for something like everything to go smoothly, to help me learn some lessons in the best possible way, things like that, just some nice intentions, or any challenges that may I face it with ease and grace. So you can't just expect everything to be perfect, but I ask, realistically, help me to handle the day with ease and grace, things like that. Connection is super, super important to me. So with my fiance, every day, or with my children, if it's my time to have with them, I make sure I connect with each of the people in my life that are important to me on the day that I see them. At some stage, to just see them and be in their presence and really be in the moment with them at some point in the day. Like we have 6 kids, so when they're with us all together, it can get a bit crazy. And so I just try to give them all that a little bit of one-on-one time, even if it's for a few moments, just checking in with them. And then my partner, we've had a busy day cooking. He's been at work, I've been working, busy cooking dinner, everyone's gone to bed. We just have that moment where you can just pause and be together, talk about our day, and have that connecting moment. We get a bit spiritual where we sometimes connect our chakras, do all that cool stuff too, which is beautiful. So that, and then gratitude. It's all thinking. Gratitude for what has been good in the day, what lessons I've learned. Gratitude for anything, like if I had made time for myself to do something for me. There's so many things in it, but yeah, just focusing. So starting the day with intention and ending it with gratitude is so important because it sets this tone for like, I'm so happy. Like, I can't complain about anything really. Like, there's nothing to complain about, because anything that comes up, I'll figure out how to deal with it, because that's the mindset that I'm in. Nothing's happening to me. I'm creating, I'm manifesting, I'm lucky, you know, all these wonderful, juicy things, because I make it happen. So I love teaching that.
And so what impact does it have in your life?
Yeah, well, I guess I was just touching on that accidentally.
I'll just ask
leading
it so we get clear that we've asked the 3 whats.
Yes, that's the third what. Yeah, that just reverberates into my life. That means I'm in flow. And in flow means things just work. You know, when I want a car park at the front of the shops because I'm in a hurry or I don't want to get rained on, it's exactly where I asked for it to be. Things just happen. When I my partner was looking for a job, a bit hard at the moment with some restrictions in certain working areas to find work. So we put it out there that he would find a job that fit into our lifestyle, would work, they'd be family orientated. So I understand that when we had the kids, he'd have to leave early on those days and things like that. And bang, he got a job. So it's just in flow. So that's how it radiates out. We just expect the best and it happens, rather than that opposite energy of, if you lower your expectations, my throat's closing up because I hate even saying it, you won't be disappointed when it doesn't work. I think the opposite, a complete opposite. I keep them up here, always high expectations. I expect the best, and wonderful experiences, and then beautiful things happen. And if they don't, I'll handle it in a graceful, okay way. And if I have some shitty, messy moments, it's okay. I'll come out of it. I'll get over it and move on.
Yeah, it's only a moment. Oh, I love all of that. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. And I think it gives people insight to different aspects of well-being as well, which is, I really love that. Good. So I've got your link to get in contact with you for your website. So that's in the next frame. So stay with me now, and then that'll be in the next one so that you can get in contact with Xzavia and book some time with her. Highly recommend. Thank you, beautiful soul, for spending your time and sharing your energy with me today. It's been amazing, and us watching.
Thank you. That was awesome.
I look forward to the next one as well. And thank you to everyone for watching and listening today. Enjoy the rest of your days, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Much love.
To connect with Xzavia, please head to optimisticxzavia.com.au. To connect with me, head to emmamuir.com. Enjoy your day, and thanks for sharing your time.